I have a question from a member who's saying, I'm a helping professional and I feel like my entire agency is burnt out. It's hard for me to avoid burnout, being around it all the time. How do I address this with my supervisors? Ooh, child. This is a great question. I actually just did a keynote with the National Association of Social Workers Ohio chapter at their conference just on this very topic. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge and express appreciation that you are thinking about burnout and thinking about what you can do about it. One of the things that I discussed in the keynote recently is that many of us have really normalized burnout. It's something that we've kind of gotten to a point or almost been trained to believe that burnout is just part of what we do. And so I just honor that you are thinking about burnout as something that shouldn't be normalized, right? And should be addressed. So um, great question on how to address it with a supervisor. This is certainly an it depends scenario. Ideally, you're able to speak to your supervisor and let them know that you're struggling with it, um, especially if you see it in an entire agency. I can tell you as a leader, my suggestion would be that if you're going to show up to your supervisor or leader with a question or concern and a request for things to be different, that you show up having thought about potential solutions. As you are carrying a lot on your plate as a helping professional, as a direct service person, so too is your leader. And so being able to kind of support them in thinking through potential solutions without putting that entire burden on their plate is a good call. And I think it's also ideal because a lot of times we complain about leadership, but we really haven't given them anything to work with. So, better for you to show up with some ideas about what you think could work or could be helpful than to just simply say it's something that you're concerned about and like you would like to see different. So, I would suggest, definitely speaking to them about it and coming to that conversation with um, some suggestions. And I would also say, with that being said, don't come with your super big ideas that either take a lot of money or time to implement, at least not at first. Or maybe if you do mention them, suggest some things that are small and easy to implement. Even if it's that you suggest that we start every staff meeting with a pause moment where we just take a moment to breathe and talk about our own humanity for a moment or something like that. Just something that's easy for folks to implement and get started. And that way you kind of move your organization towards something maybe even bigger. I would also let you know we're actually in the process of launching a campaign focused on helping professionals. And so if you find that your supervisor is excited and interested in collaborating with an organization to help sort of fill that void, to provide well-being support for their staff, let us know. We're actually in the process of doing that with several nonprofit organizations as we speak. So perhaps we can be of help to you. And lastly, I'll say is, regardless of whether ideally your supervisor responds in a super amazing way and changes are made and you can go forth and live your best life. In the event that that doesn't happen or something just short of that happens, I would just encourage you to continue to think about what boundaries you can set, what adjustments you can make in your own world to address burnout or minimize it in your world. Examples are, sometimes we just show up thinking, let's just work this extra 30 minutes. It's no big deal for me and my client really needs it. But sometimes it is a big deal for you, right? So being able to challenge yourself in your mindsets about how to take care of yourself is important. Other examples may be, just being the one who always shows up. We talked about that in one of our Cup of Joy episodes recently. If you're somebody who's constantly volunteering yourself as the one to kind of help out, you may want to consider slowing down on offering so much of yourself, because sometimes really what you need to do is give space for other folks to lean in and be helpful. Also, you just might not have space and you got to be okay with, letting things kind of fall out if that needs to happen, because sometimes that needs to happen for leaders to be able to see that something's really wrong. But when when employees and folks on that ground floor just continue to do the work, sometimes it's hard for a leader to see that there really is change that needs to happen. So hopefully that works out for you. Let us know how you progress with that and how we can help.